Good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. C J Varghese, welcoming all of you to the 89th birthday celebrations of great Dr. Varghese. We are observing it as the World GHK Day. And as I go forward, I will share my screen. So please wait. Global GHk Foundation welcomes you to the World GHK Day Celebrations 2024. As usual, I'm supposed to display this disclaimer. The information given in this presentation is for educational purpose only. Participants shall consult their medical doctors for health reasons before using anything that is disclosed during the course of this presentation. Students shall not use any of the different information given in this presentation while writing their examinations. The topic I'm going to engage today is, can we imagine a world without diseases? So I'll be discussing this. And my answer is yes. We, the Global GHK Foundation, GHK means the Germanic Healing Knowledge, is working with the mission and vision of making this happen in this world. We are just a small beginning, but we are having the hope that once upon a time, we will be able to materialize this imagination, this hope that a particular time in future, we will be able to make it a world without disease. So if somebody asks this question to me, can we imagine a world without diseases? My answer will be yes. So it is simply simple, as I say like that, because you will also be understanding why I say it is so simple, because the process that is required to achieve this is so simple. That is why I repeat, it is a simply simple process. But with the knowledge that given to this world by Dr. Varghese, which is now known as Germanic Healing Knowledge, or GHK. So when we say imagination, it always means it does not exist, but we can visualize it. We can dream about it. We can envisage, see in the mind's eye, conceptualize, suppose, conceive, project, or assume a world without disease. So let us visualize a futuristic world without diseases. So I'm repeating, it is possible by the knowledge of GHK, and I'm putting it in another way. The possibility is by replacing the word disease by the word program. So this change gives a lot of benefits to the humanity. This proposed change. Modern world or the future world also will be understanding the word program in a better way, because some years back, so say for example, some 50 years back, nobody was knowing the meaning of the word program as we know it now, because it's related to, or it can be related to the computer program. When we come to the explanation of health, so this program is going to be explained or understood as a beneficial program. Later, you will understand that it is a biological program designed by nature. So for me, when we say a program is designed by nature, we can call it a divine program or designed by God. So who revealed this knowledge? It is none other than Dr. Varghese, whose birthday we are celebrating. What he told about these diseases is given in the quintessence of the 5 biological laws, the fundamental principles of his revelations or Germanic healing knowledge. What he said is like this: every so-called disease is a part of a significant biological special program of nature created to assist an organism, humans and animals alike, during unexpected distress. So please attend or please look at this thing, every so-called disease, because the understanding of the phenomenon called disease itself is different in his explanation. That is why he called every so-called disease. It's a part of significant biological special program of nature. So it's a biological program created. I have underlined created because there should be somebody to create this program. And he has not told or he has not mentioned the word God, but I am giving you the explanation. What he meant exactly is this is created by God, or it's a biological program, and that is applicable in the case of humans and animals alike during unexpected distress. That is how he has explained the word conflict. Conflicts are those distresses happening during the unexpected time period of one's life. So it is created. So there must be someone who created them. That creator is approved by most of the people in this world as God. Wisdom given to the world by Varghese, that is what is known and what is going to be known in this world as the Germanic healing knowledge. So on this day, we are going to give a humble homage to Dr. Varghese. So we say together, happy heavenly 89th birthday, Dr. Hammer. Actually, he was born on 17th of May, 1935. And today we are celebrating, or now we are celebrating the 89th birthday of Dr. Hammer. So let us start our thinking process, how I am going to impress upon your mind the meaning of what I mean to say, that it can bring about a situation, or we can think about, we can imagine a world without diseases. We consider disease with a negative meaning always. Dis-ease, that means something not at ease, because it gives you a discomfort, suffering, pain, etc. So because this disease gives you discomfort, because it gives you suffering, pain, etc., we call it disease. But we are forgetting the fact that there is no life process without these sufferings or discomfort or pain. They are inseparable part of life. So once we are able to make an introspection or examination of our conscience or analyze things happening in one's lifetime, we will understand that these sufferings are inseparable part of one's life. We always say, or we know, everyone knows, pleasure and pain go together. So let us continue to explain this to some more extent. Everyone knows love hurts, but also heals, whether it is the love of parent to children, or between siblings, or friends, or partners, wife and husband, father and children. So everywhere where there is love, it is hurting, but it has got the capacity to heal also. If I'm going to explain, in the process of sexual intercourse, there is a bit of pain, but at the same time, there is pleasure. A lady who is pregnant, she suffers, but she is happy, or she has to be happy. So during the process of delivery, there is pain, and at the same time, the mother enjoys being pregnant, enjoys being the mother. The child cries, the baby cries when it comes out of the womb of the mother, but Mother is happy. After some time, the cry will stop. So baby cries when hungry. That's a common thing that we see, but enjoys feeding, and plays happily when filled. When its stomach is filled, it starts playing, it starts laughing, it starts being happy. So what I mean to say is there is always a discomfort in all these normal functions of our life. So that's what exactly happens when our bladder or rectum are filled and one feels relieved when it is emptied. So to conclude, all biological purposes, which we call normal functions, are served in nature with some degree of discomfort. So everybody knows this dictum. There is no gain without pain. Disease is a part of program inbuilt in all living entities. So this is what is to be understood by my presentation. So disease is a part of a program inbuilt in all living entities. It is called by Dr. Hammer as beneficial program. There are innumerable programs within our system. If we compare with an electronic gadget, previously at least, there were antiviral programs we used to install in them. And that is for the protection of these gadgets. And that presence or the installation of an antiviral program helps this gadget to be protected or survive. Usually what happens is the negative aspect is only considered, whereas the beneficial part is usually ignored. That is why we are tempted to see the negative aspects, the discomfort part, the distress part, the pain part. We are concentrating, and we are not concentrating on the beneficial part of a program. So it's not the mistake of nature. It is a mistake of how it is visualized. So nothing in nature is inimical to life. They are created by nature. Those who believe in God can very well say that these are programs created by God. So what is to be done is that we have to see or visualize or view the programs in its totality. Just like the parts of a complex machine, every single component part acts as a supportive part to the overall purposeful or successful function of the whole machine. If we fail to appreciate the whole program, we will concentrate on the apparent dysfunction of a particular single part. For example, if we say that, the pregnancy is much difficult because the normal tummy or the belly of a lady is becoming hugely swollen. Hey, that doesn't look good. No, it's a part of it. So there will be difficulties, there will be discomfort. These are all part of a very positive, very purposeful action of the nature. If we fail to appreciate the whole program, we will concentrate on the apparent dysfunction of a particular single part. Problem is of the onlooker. We will miss the design if we do like that, or the program, and we will forget or we will ignore the designer, or we can call programmer. So in the modern time, what is happening with the materialistic scientists is this, that they forget or they cannot or they fail to appreciate the ultimate biological purposes by the presence of this discomfort or pain. They try to explain every biological phenomenon on material basis. They are the people who try to explain diseases as diseases. Of course, we don't deny the fact that there is bit of or little bit of discomfort is there in the whole process of disease or the whole program when it is visualized as a whole. So our duty is to visualize this whole phenomenon as a totality. You have to visualize it in total. So the picture that always comes to my mind, I have always, or I have earlier also mentioned this. You take the example of ants. The ant hills, which are the residents or the houses of the ants, the rain, when it comes, washes away the ant hills. But we cannot say that rain should not come because it is inimical to biology. No, it is not like that. The rain is needed to nourish the land. So for a greater purpose, this rain is a must, even though it will make some difficulty for these ant hills or ants. Similarly, every symptom has a beneficial meaning if observed in the framework of the specific biological program in total. So our duty is to understand this intelligence, the biological meaning of the programs. Then we will understand that the so-called diseases are not as something negative. They are not the mistakes of nature. They are not in any way malignancy from the part of the nature. In Malayalam, it's a language of my local language is known as Malayalam. There is a song, very popular song. It is like this. ഒരു മഴയും തോരാതിരുന്നിട്ടില്ല. That means every rain has stopped after a time. It continues like this. Every wind has settled after a time. Every night has been followed by a dawn. Every pain has gone after some time. So when we have the sufferings or discomfort or pain, we have to get to know the meaning of it, why it is there, what is the distress or what is the conflict behind that. Then we will be able to appreciate this pain or discomfort or distress in a better manner. We will not feel that much of distressful discomfort by the presence of that particular symptom. So only thing is, this is an intelligence, this is a wisdom that we have to acquire from Dr. Hammer. That is, nature is designed by its designer like this. So this knowledge is given to the world by Dr. J. Hammer. So to appreciate individual symptoms of parts of a biological programs as the parts of a biological program. So we have to understand 1, 2, 3, 4, or few symptoms of a condition, so-called disease. When we understand it in a greater or bigger framework, in a bigger backdrop, we will understand that it is a component of a biological program. This understanding is not there with the purely materialistic scientists, and therefore, to understand what Dr. Hammer said will remain as a challenge for many more years to come. But that doesn't mean that it will not happen. It is we who are going to decide whether it will happen, it must happen, can happen, etc. So once these scientists understand this, then only our conscience will be justified, in the sense that one who is thinking, asking questions, why this symptom, why this symptom, then the explanation is given by this wisdom given to the world by Dr. Hammer. Then only you will appreciate that there are no diseases as taught and propagated by the old school. This is the most important thing. Once you understand a particular symptom in the framework of the whole program, then only you will appreciate that there are no diseases as taught and propagated by the old school. Old school does not want the common man to know this truth because they have got chemical and harmful drugs claimed to be alleviating the sufferings of those symptoms. I'm not finding fault with them. I'm telling a plain truth that they fail to understand the deeper meanings of these symptoms. Only if they have this knowledge given to the world by Dr. J. Hammer, they will be able to appreciate the meanings of these symptoms. what happens? I'm not finding fault with them. I'm not accusing them. What happens with the medical world of today, which GHK calls them old school, it is medical ignorance, which they purposefully or not, knowingly or not, they inculcate in the minds of the people, because they are medically illiterate, medically they are ignorant, and that is how they are exploited. There is no attempt taking place in the present world to educate them what exactly is the meaning of each and every symptom attached or associated with a particular disease condition. On the reverse, they frighten the common man, telling that if the symptoms are ignored, or if the symptoms are not suppressed by their means, by the chemical drugs, or if not removed, they will get worse. These symptoms will get worse, and they will have to pay the price more in future. So thus, they are misusing or misinterpreting the symptoms for a money-making or business purpose. They can come out of this illusion only with the knowledge of the 5 biological laws of nature. So that is the challenge GHK put forward in front of the modern world. So the 5 biological laws of nature discovered by Dr. Hammer is going to make revolution in this world. So I will continue. Medical ignorance and illiteracy is misused for exploiting these people. Even the fundamental symptoms of inflammation. I'm giving an example, very, very basic example. That is the fundamental symptoms of inflammation, known as cardinal signs of inflammation, like heat, pain, redness, swelling, loss of function, etc. They are interpreted as dangerous, and they frighten the people that it will cause adverse situations in future. So they try to put chemical things into the system of the body to suppress the heat. That means temperature will be suppressed. Pain will be alleviated by painkillers. Redness will be removed by the anti-inflammatory drugs. Swellings will be taken away by diuretics or the drugs that help for increased urine. So thereby the water retention in the body will be removed. Like that, a material way of or a mechanical way of approaching to dynamic system, that is human system, and that is the fundamental mistake with the modern materialistic medical science. So this frightening itself can, they forget that the frightening itself can worsen the symptoms. If they are not telling that they are positive, they are beneficial, they are having a purpose, and they are having a biological purpose. So this aspect is kept secret, kept away from the understanding of the common man, and they instead make a frightening which can worsen the symptoms. So inflammation is a positive, beneficial aspect of our body functioning. There are different inflammatory mediators. Once the inflammation takes place or once the inflammatory process starts, these chemical mediators are released into the system of into the blood circulation, and they will initiate the process of healing. So inflammation is with the purpose of healing. This noble or this wonderful purpose, biological purpose, is kept away from the attention of the common man. If I'm giving an example, the hormones like bradykinin and histamine, they widen the blood supply, or they widen the blood vessels, even the small blood vessels, allowing more blood to reach the affected site. That is the reason for this redness, heat, pain, swelling, etc. So if the common people are given this understanding, this knowledge, then they will not take or they will not go for these anti-inflammatory drugs, anti-febrile drugs, anti-inflammatory, anti-swelling drugs, etc. They will not continue to take these things if they understand the meaning of these changes or what exactly they are consuming in the name of drugs. But this knowledge, you can very well understand, if given to the people, they will be benefited. But the drug manufacturers find this as detrimental to their interests. If I'm giving some more examples in this, human body can assimilate food, but not the chemical drugs. It's a plain fact, which perhaps the material scientists will not agree. So in order to justify the reason why the chemical drugs are put into the system, they say that our food, for example, is given to the body, but the body assimilates them by splitting it into small chemical entities. But this is an explanation which is only supporting their interests. In reality, our body is very much familiar with food, but not at all familiar with chemical drugs. That they will go on arguing that all nutritions or nutrition substances are split into chemicals before they are assimilated. But all the chemical drugs used to remove the symptoms like painkillers, anti-inflammatory drugs, diuretics, antibiotics, steroids, etc., are slowly poisoning the human system. Even though they agree it or they admit it or not, this is what is happening. So these types of chemical drugs put into the system are causing additional load on our excretory organs like kidneys, liver, skin, etc. Therefore, it is high time to make the population, the common man, aware of this situation. And GHK, the Germanic healing knowledge, is the remedy for this particular situation. So for that, we have to have a very good understanding of the 5 biological laws of nature, which for the constraints of time, I'm not going to explain it here, or the explanation of the 5 biological laws of nature is not in the plan of my presentation of this evening. I will concentrate on 1 or 2 biological laws. The 5th biological law, according to Dr. Hammer, is the quintessence of the 5 biological laws, or it is the quintessence of the discoveries of Dr. Hammer. So it is like that, which I presented in the very first part of my presentation. Every so-called disease is a part of a significant biological special program of nature created to assist an organism, both humans and animals alike, during unexpected distress. Dr. Hammer says the diseases are wrongly called as diseases, and in reality, they should be known as beneficial programs. So what I want to impress upon the minds of my listeners is that once you change the ideas explained under the word disease, if replaced by beneficial programs, then people will understand things in a better manner. In Bible, if I'm going to give a quote, what goes into a man's mouth does not make him unclean, but what comes out of his mouth, that is what makes him unclean. So this is a quote from Holy Bible, where it is said that it is not the external things that affect the human being more, but it is the inner things. So materialistic old medicine finds out innumerable number of material causations for all the mental illnesses as well as the physical diseases. So all the physical diseases, they will attribute it to the changes happening in the climate or the weather changes. They will explain as causations. The food changes, the dietary changes, they will find the microbes, lack of exercise, So all these physical explanations or physical causations are not the real cause of diseases. And according to what Dr. Hammer said, 100% of the physical diseases are due to the conflicts happening in the mind. Needless to say, Dr. Hammer has given a very good explanation of all the mental illnesses, all the human behaviors, all the changes happening in our mood disorders, so-called disorders, mood swings, or changes happening, changeable moods. So all these are explained by the concept of conflict, causation by the conflict. Whereas the modern medicine is finding the chemical changes happening within the body, within the blood, as the causes for even the mental diseases. Only Dr. Hammer revealed that all natural diseases, whether it is physical disease or mental diseases, they are all caused by psychic conflicts. So this is what is given in the first biological law. I'm not supposed to, as I told, explain this here. So only Dr. Hammer said that the causes of all diseases the programs are unexpected distress. He said that in order to resolve those unexpected distresses, the psychic conflicts, there are two methods. So in order to resolve the conflict, so once the physical or mental symptoms come, we have to expect a psychic conflict. So what is to be done to remove that psychic conflict? He has given two methods. One is the psychic conflict resolution or psychic resolution of the conflict. And the second and most important, perhaps, according to me, is a spiritual resolution, which may not be applicable or palatable or admittable by the modern materialistic medical science. Because spirituality or the concept of God or concept of the soul or even this concept of psyche, only because they are not materialistic, they have to have some materialistic reason, materialistic causative factors in order to explain both the physical diseases as well as the mental diseases. So he said one should learn the 5 biological laws of nature before one suffers from unexpected distress. This is a very important concept with GHK. That means it is not when someone falls into deep waters that he should learn swimming. So it is not when somebody meets with a serious conflict and subsequent symptoms in the physical or mental symptoms that he should go for learning the GHK. One should be equipped with the knowledge of GHK, and that is a very important instruction given by Dr. Hammer and GHK. Every symptom is a part of the whole program. This is very important. Here also, this is explained in the first law, second law, etc., which I am not going to explain. So one who knows GHK, little bit of GHK, or at least the 5 biological laws, knows very well what is understood or what is explained by CA phase or conflict active phase. He knows it is prolonged sympathikotonia. And what is happening in the healing phase, it is a prolonged vagotonia. And this healing phase is again divided into two. One is the PCL-A phase and the second is the PCL-B phase. PCL-A phase is the exudation phase and the second phase, that is PCL-B phase, is the scarring phase. And a very important aspect of the healing phase is known as epileptocrisis. So I'm not going to explain all these things. What I want to tell you at this particular point of time is that whether it is one is in the conflict active phase or in the conflict healing phase, that too, whether it is in the first part, that is a PCL-A phase, PCL-B phase, or the healing crisis, also known as epileptic crisis or epic crisis, these are the areas where all the symptoms are explained. Or in other words, every symptom or any symptom occurring in the conflict active or in the physical level or in the mental level, they are occurring in any of these phases. So I invite all of you to learn GHK in a very detailed manner. So another understanding is the so-called allergic symptoms. GHK explains them as conflict hanging. Whenever the conflict is hanging, there will be a conflict resolution also, or conflict healing and hanging healing. And that will bring about the that is coming with the knowledge or with the understanding of the concept of tracks in GHK. And this is how all the diseases, or all including chronic diseases, including the allergy diseases, are explained in GHK. And one more thing, a very golden information, and that is that even when a person is in the healing phase, he may suffer from fatigue. So until I learned GHK as a doctor, I was giving the explanation to the patients that once you are having a fatigue, that means that you have not come out of this disease. You are still having a hanging or lingering type of diseases. But that is totally revolutionized by the understanding of GHK. That is, even fatigue, a very important symptom, can be a welcome sign or welcome symptom in GHK. So knowledge of 5 biological laws can deliver humanity free from the fear of diseases. That is our conclusion. It is not when someone is seriously ill, as I explained already, or in serious programs we call in GHK, that one should start learning GHK. For that, he should have a readiness to accept the truths of many realities beyond the material world. That is the important point here. That means it is not GHK is not an explanation of all the diseases by purely materialistic causations. The causations are in the psychic level, in the form of psychic conflicts, and the resolution or the remedy is also in the psychic level to start with, not at all in the end level or in the physical level. He should not consider philosophy and science as separate entities. One who is going to learn GHK for the benefit of himself, his family members, his near and dear ones, and for the benefit of the whole world, in an attempt to deliver the humanity free from the fear of diseases, he should definitely have an understanding. It's not an understanding, an experience of things that are purely in the psychic level or in the beyond material level. So there are so many truths that are invisible, like God, soul, spirit, etc., consciousness. So even the psyche explained by Dr. Hammer is also not at all in the material world. So whatever is not in the material world is non-existent, and that is the explanation, or that is how the materialistic modern, so-called modern medical people explain things. So I will explain to some more extent. The psyche of Dr. Hammer is an invisible entity. One who is purely materialistic cannot appreciate the revelations of Dr. Hammer. That is nothing else than GHK. The psyche, the DHS, psychic changes during different phases of SBS. SBS means this program, so-called diseases, significant biological special program, and resolution, GHK therapy. All these are to be explained, but not in this presentation. They are all invisible aspects, but they are all truths. They are not at all evidence-based. So the modern materialistic medicine gives a very high rating for anything that is evidence-based. What I want to impress upon the mind of my viewers is that there are many truths that are beyond the so-called evidence-based. Evidence starts only at the brain level. We can see some evidence in all the programs, so-called diseases in brain, but they are not usually visualized, or medical science does not take the pain or take an attempt to visualize what is happening. For example, in the case of any physical disease, they are not going to examine the brain. Brain only when the neurological, so-called nerve-related, brain-related things are happening, then they will examine the brain. What Dr. Hammer said is that in all the diseases, all the natural or all the natural diseases, we are having this synchronicity. That is, there are changes happening in the mind, there are changes happening in the brain, and of course, there are changes happening in the body. Of course, naturally, people will come with the complaints or with the symptoms happening on the body level only many a time. So this is a tragedy, and this tragedy is encouraged by the so-called modern materialistic medical science. So we are going to come to the end of it. Can we imagine a world without diseases? I repeat, yes, with the right knowledge of diseases. So the right knowledge of diseases means it is the Germanic healing knowledge. If I give this example, when someone is about to vomit, it's a common word or usage that we say, oh, he is sick. He is having the symptom, nausea, then we usually say he is sick. So once he vomits, he feels good. Or he's having a pain in the abdomen, what we usually call it as a irritable bowel syndrome or intestinal colitis or the affections of the intestine. Once we have a loose stool, then the problem is over. So whether it is a diarrhea or whether it's a vomiting, it is a part of a program. So that aspect, if made to be understood by the person who is suffering, who is having a discomfort, then he will not feel that much sick or that much difficult. Then he will be able to understand what exactly is the causation that happened in the psychic level in the form of conflict. If he knows what the sickness will be followed by, if he knows that the sickness, so-called sickness, the nausea, will be followed by vomiting, and naturally that he will be better after vomiting, his sufferings will be minimum. That's what is the most important thing to be understood here. Similarly, if someone is having fever, for example, and if he knows that the fever is a symptom of healing, then his suffering during the fever will be the minimum. There will be no fear during the fever. Same with any pain, any swelling, any redness, any itching, any infection, etc. So all the symptoms I can put it here. If the person who is suffering that particular symptom knows the exact meaning that I am in the healing phase and this is the exact causation, or it was in the psychic level, and after some time I will be free from this suffering, then his suffering will be reduced to the minimum. So if we understand and appreciate diseases in their right meaning, then we can include them as a part of a part and parcel of life itself. So as I told in the beginning, there is no life without suffering. So when children are made to understand this aspect of life, then they will be better able to appreciate and they will be able to meet with any sufferings in their life. There will be more understanding the realities of life. Yes, there is a time period after this rain will stop. After this pain, the pain will stop. After this wind, it will be okay. So similarly, everybody, once he understands the exact meaning of this particular suffering, he can very well meet with or approach this suffering in a better manner, reducing the intensity and thereby delivering the humanity or delivering the whole people of this world free from the fear of diseases, which is a very much important for the modern man. Every symptom is misinterpreted, made as a tool for frightening or exploitation, looting, made to go for laboratory investigations, for expenditure, for hospital visits, and so many things. But they will learn how to resolve the conflicts without much delay, and those complications or subsequent related conflicts can be avoided. We can identify the tracks. Suppose if a particular symptom is continuous, chronic, or the experience is allergic, then a person who understands the tracks, understands the causations in the form of conflicts, he will be better able to avoid the stage called hanging conflicts. He can better come out of this program. As Danny always says, we can switch off that program. Just like an electric light switch, we can switch off that program. This is because of that thing. What's the use of keeping those good old things? I should disconnect with that program, that hanging, that break the chain. Let us come out of this conflict. I understand what is the reason for my suffering. So if every individual in this world is going to understand each and every symptom in any of this in this framework, he will be better able to appreciate the whole process called diseases in a better manner. That is my conclusion. So GHK is, if popularized, no one will be scared of diseases. This is my conclusion. It's not conclusion, it's the truth. That's the world without the fear of diseases. And that is the world without diseases. So I'm repeating, a world without the fear of diseases is also the world without diseases. So Global GHK has the vision and mission to spread GHK to outreach 8 million people of this world. Our ultimate goal is to make a world free from hospitals, a world without hospitals, or if at all they are there, with only 10% of the present number, where only surgeries are conducted for emergency life-saving situations, like accidents or some toxins, some malnutrition, something like that. So these are the only conditions where surgeries are required, and these are going to be the only situations when hospitalization must or an emergency or unavoidable situation. And repeating, toxic conditions, poisoning conditions, or physical accidents, trauma, motor vehicle accidents, fall, poisoning, animal poisoning, chemical poisoning, or real malnutritions in the form of deficiencies or absence of supply of the nutrients, etc. So these are only situations which need immediate hospital care, and that is our ultimate goal. So I give more importance to this aspect, because many people, even though they will say that they believe in God or they are having faith in God, really they lack the real faith in Him or God during difficult times. They will say they will go to temples, they will go to the churches, they will say that I am a believer in God, but when the crisis comes, they lose their hope or they lose their faith in God. And therefore, I request all people to make your spirituality more practical and more deep. If we consider God as your designer, if you consider God your designer, or in other words, creator, then you can experience His presence in every aspect of yourself. How happy you would be if the creator or designer or manufacturer of your own gadget, your own existence, your own system, including both the mental as well as physical components. If we know that the person who has manufactured this is within me, I used to tell this thing to the people or the patients who come to me in utter despair, utter panicky situations. I used to say like this, a doctor who is much better than all the doctors who are living in this world, a doctor who is better than all the doctors who lived in this world and died, a better doctor who is going to be born in this world in future, such a best doctor is within you, within your system. If every man understands this aspect, that means your designer, your manufacturer, your creator of your system is already within you, installed in you, downloaded in you, installed in you, running in with that manufacturer, then how happy you should be. but the people are not enjoying that happiness. They are telling that that doctor will, that hospital will, that drug will, that chemical drug will take care of my sugar, my pressure, my pain, my swelling, etc. It's a very tragic situations against which, or GHK is trying, global GHK is going to try to make this misunderstanding or take away this misunderstanding from the minds of the people. So even with his presence, with the presence of God, if we ignore or neglect his presence, we get afraid of diseases. That's what happening. There will be, as I told, they will be saying that I am a believer of God. I believe in God. I go to pray. I used to pray, etc. But when such a crisis comes, they forget the fact that your body or your system, including your mind, brain, and body, it is having a best creator, the manufacturer of your gadgets itself is residing within you. And if we ignore or neglect his presence, we will get simply afraid of so-called diseases. Therefore, this is my conclusion. A real believer of God has no fear of diseases. Take it from me. A real believer of God has no reason to have fear of diseases. So then you will be able to welcome diseases as a part of life. If we understand, appreciate disease in its right meaning, then we can consider it as a part of life, a normal part of life. Naturally, it is happening. It's a biological understanding of diseases. Then disease becomes a common, natural, and unavoidable aspect of our existence. We can reduce the sufferings if we understand them as survival mechanisms. You know, French writer Voltaire said, the secret of medicine is to distract the patient and allow the nature to heal itself. He lived in the 17th century, I suppose. At that time, there were no medical gadgets as we are now, having so many machines, so many tests, so many examination process, X-ray, CT scan, MRI, all these things, imaging techniques, all these things were not there. But he was a very good observer. He said that many people, many individuals heal without any intervention when given time. This is important, when given time. So when you give time, before Dr. Hammer, he was advising only to give time. Time will take care, time will heal. Now we know that what exactly is the meaning of symptoms, and you can also intervene by reducing the intensity of the conflict that is there, or that was there, or that is lingering, and that is constantly troubling you. You can consciously switch off that program. Consciously, you can come out of a so-called cancer. Consciously, you can come out of a so-called diabetes. You can come out of the sufferings of a stroke, cardiac conditions. So that is what is the mission and vision of Global GHk, and we are aspiring to make these popular things. So in such situation, a question may come up, do we really need GHk therapists? Essentially, it's not needed or not necessary. If we know what has happened, if everyone is thorough with the GHk, or if everyone understands the real meaning of his symptoms, then there is nobody else other than himself required or needed to call themselves, qualify themselves as therapists. But if all the people are interested in other activities or other duties of their lives, and there are specialized people who understands or who knows this GHk in a better manner, then he can remain as, he can give a helping hand to the people who are suffering from the so-called diseases. So GHk should be the culture in every family. Every newborn should learn it from parents. Every symptom should be explained by the parents at home. So within the house premises or within the home atmosphere itself, there should be a situation, there should be a culture, so that every symptom will be explained in the framework of GHk, and every child from the from birth onwards will understand what is the reason for my fever, what is the reason for my headache, what is the reason for my toothache, what is the reason for my tummy ache, etc. Then things become easy. Now what happens? Every parent is taking their children to the hospital to see the materialistic explanation of so-called doctor who gives a wrong interpretation of the things, totally forgetting the involvement or the part played by the mind or the psyche, and they give a chemical drug to suppress or alleviate or to remove the physical symptoms. That is what is going to happen, or that is what is happening in this world. I invite your attention and your immediate action to make this great science popular in this world. GHK should be the culture in every family. Every newborn should learn it from parents. Every symptom should be explained by parents. GHK is the greatest discovery in the human history. Don't forget that. Make everyone understand that what is the biggest or what is the greatest discovery in the human history? It is nothing else but it is Dr. Hammer's GHk, Germanische Heilkunde, or Germanic healing knowledge. That much importance should be given to it. So if at all there are therapists, specially spared or specially trained to be expert in their explanation of this GHK, there can have the therapists. In spite of having minimum knowledge, there can emerge situations where more serious programs can occur, and then there will be chance for therapists who can help those cases, because we cannot expect that every individual, as it happens in the case of medical knowledge of today, will be well versed with the real understanding or explanation of GHK, and therefore few people can spare their life or keep themselves equipped with the super knowledge, advanced knowledge with regard to the GHK, and they can remain as therapists with their profession of with the helping the people who are approaching them as clients, expecting more deeper explanation for their sufferings, etc. So those people who are going to be qualified as therapists, they must be equipped with the advanced knowledge of anatomy, physiology, embryology, evolution, etc. Then they should know this GHK also. Hospitals visits can be avoided. Many a time it can be avoided in normal course of life. Chemical drug poisoning can be avoided. What is exactly happening? The world is not understanding that it is the world population is slowly being poisoned. I'm not going to explain it because it's a big topic, but understand that slow poisoning is happening, whether it is in the form of drugs, whether it is in the form of food that are chemically or so-called manipulated in different way. I'm not going to, because there are controversial topics. So expenses for treatment can be minimized. That's another very important positive aspect of it. So GHK should be taught in schools. That's another demand that GHK, Global GHK puts forward. 5 biological laws in preliminary classes. So 5 biological laws should be taught in preliminary classes. Special biological programs, that is so-called diseases, should be taught in advanced classes. The schizophrenic constellations, where Dr. Hammer explains the mental illnesses, the mood disorders, and the human behavior, etc., they should be taught in the higher levels. The medical education given now in medical institutions can be distributed to all the levels of education institutions. It need not be in, it can be in engineering college, it can be in a professional colleges of other specialities. There should also be a, for example, if there is a corporate a factory or some especially in a special area, there also we can have a unit where the health will be taken care by the GHK specialists. We can call them as therapists, etc. So GHK should be an inseparable part of all areas of education. This will considerably improve the health of the people, thereby reducing the financial expenditure. So GHK can create a revolution in all the different fields of human life. I have selected few of the different areas or different fields of human existence. They are not fully exhaustive list, but just to bring your attention to some of the areas where you can have the knowledge of GHK or GHK knowledge, Germanische Heilkunde, Germanic healing knowledge, they will help in these areas. Their career, all the education systems, wherever there are special educations, the learning disabilities are handled, where there are issues regarding the leave sanctions, whether it is education institutions or other institutions. So wherever the nursing care or healthcare is imparted, wherever the sports, exercises, physiotherapy, etc. are done, the physical health, recreation, hobbies, social life, all these different aspects of human life becomes important in the framework of GHK. We can discuss about the issues that are coming in these areas in an entirely different backdrop. That's the benefit of learning GHK. Economics, corporate health, worksite wellness, finances, food, dietetics, nutrition, all these areas will be viewed in an entirely different way if we know, or if everybody who are controlling these areas know of GHK. I have very often felt that the law and order, because it's a very, why somebody behaves in an aggressive manner, that is explained by Dr. Hammer only. Otherwise, they are subjects or they are clauses in the criminal code of ethics, code of penal conditions. They all will be interpreted in an entirely different way if GHK is popular in all the decision-making bodies and the so-called power handling authorities or the persons who are in the higher up decision-making, policy-making authorities. If they are all familiar with GHK, the total picture of the human life will be changing. And that is the real revolution that Dr. Hammer wanted to bring to this world. So the human behavior, personal relationships, sexual health, personal growth, spirituality, counseling, mental illnesses, family, relationships, domestic life, parenting, psychology, psychotherapy, etc., etc. There will remain no areas will be left out without the influence of GHK once GHK becomes popular in the future. So I'm going to conclude. So the question was, can we imagine a world without disease? My answer from the very beginning was yes, we can imagine a world without diseases. So Germanische Heilkunde or Germanic healing knowledge can revolutionize the world's understanding of the diseases and thus make a world without diseases. Very difficult, of course, to materialize this. I am aware of that thing where we are, or Dr. Hammer died in the year 2017. So only 7 more years we have been here in this world without him. But we are trying to learn from the original sources and we are going to impart to the world. We are taking up this very great responsibility, thinking that's the best humanitarian work they can do, every living human being can do when he is alive. It's a real challenge for you. You do your part to make GHK to reach the whole world population. Thank you. So with that, I'm thanking all of my listeners. Thank you, the supporting technical team led by Suhail, Suha, and all my mentors who are always supporting, and all my listeners. Thank you one and all once again. Thank you.